Yeah.
All right, baby. We are back with Insider Betting. We are not live, unfortunately, today, but we don't have that many fights to go over.
Super messy. Sorry. Go ahead.
We'll let Jesse fix his hair. We got Nate Diaz versus Jorge Masvidal this week. We also have Shakur Stevenson fighting. He's a minus 3,000 favorite or something like that. So pretty
good.
clear to see who's going to win that.
For modern boxing. That's pretty
close.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a close fight. We'll take the underdog on this one, make some money. But anyway, we'll get into all of that in a second. Jesse, how you doing, brother? Appreciate you joining me.
Doing great. It's Nate Diaz fight week. It's like it's always an entertaining week. He punked Neon last night. Go check out the Fight Season podcast. We did a whole breakdown on it and how he punked Neon at the final press conference between him and Jorge Masvidal. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. There's always good beef and, trash talk. It's exciting. Like, even win or lose, Nate's going to put on a show, so it'll be fun.
Yeah. No, Nate Diaz fights are always just fun, especially the build up to them. The fights themselves can be iffy at times, right? But we do have some memorable moments. We'll get into that in a second.
Yeah.
Aside from big fights, today is a big day. I don't know when this episode is going to go live. Hopefully it goes up later today. But
today, happy 4th of July, by the way. It is.
Happy
4th
of July. Argentina plays today, which is why I'm in the jersey. I don't think a lot of fight fans are into soccer, but I am.
Just USA sucks.
Yeah.
That's not our sport. I'll be watching baseball today.
No, poor 4th of July celebration. But with you saying soccer's not America's sport, if soccer was America's sport and all the best athletes around the U.S. were going into soccer, how well do you think they do?
USA? I think that. I think that we would have like one of the best teams in the world because I think that we just have so much money to put into sports. We just put so much money into sports that
I agree.
We would still have a great team. I don't know if we compete with European. It's so ingrained in the culture over there. Like it dates back hundreds of years. It's like ingrained. It's like coming up here to play baseball. You know what I mean? Like a lot of guys wouldn't be able to do it, but I don't know. Venezuela and Dominican Republic have no money and they've somehow conquered the baseball space. So who knows? Maybe America would be able to do it too. So in soccer.
Yeah.
But
anyway, so big game today, big celebrations for you. I celebrated Canada Day last weekend, so we're over that. But anyway, Jorge Masvidal versus Nate Diaz. Interesting fight. Do you want to start there or do you want to start with the Shakur Stevenson fight? I feel like we should start with Shakur.
Should we do a ad read?
Yeah, I think so. Let's
I don't know if we should probably get it out of the way now.
Let's show the people what's
before we get into our picks. Yeah.
Okay. This is a special message brought to you by DraftKings.
Hey, Jess, you know what I love?
What's that?
I love gambling. And more than that, I love bonus bets.
It's funny you mentioned that, Adam, because right now we've teamed up with DraftKings, where if you go download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, you bet $5 on any bet on the entire sportsbook, you get $150 of those bonus bets instantly. And all you got to do is use our promo code INSIDEFIGHT.
And what if sports betting isn't available in my state? Could I do their daily fantasy instead?
Absolutely, not to worry. DraftKings is the one-stop shop for all things daily fantasy, where you can join in all the fun and have a shot to win cash prizes. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app now, use promo code INSIDEFIGHTING, bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets instantly. That's bet $5 on any bet. Get $150 in bonus bets instantly with promo code INSIDEFIGHTING.
All right, and we're back. So massive news. Inside Fighting officially partnered with DraftKings. We had a small stint with them to end last year. We kind of did a trial run. We're happy to be official DraftKings partners. Use promo code Inside Fighting. And you guys heard the speech. We're not going to go through it again. But anyway,
sports on right now, but there's soccer on, so it's like that's something to bet on. So there you go.
Go bet on the Euros. Go bet on Copa America. It's made me some money. I'm sure it'll make you some. But anyway, Shakur Stevenson versus I don't even have the other person's name pulled up. He's a minus 3,000 favorite.
It's not worth it. It's Artem Harutunian.
Yeah, I remembered it being a mouthful. So disappointing time and time again with boxing, just putting up completely average fights. I think average is doing a disservice to it, because I don't even think it should get the average tag there.
Yeah, I mean, well, the problem is he's a minus 3,000 favorite, right? And I was like, we were talking off air, and I was like, it's almost like doesn't feel like sports, because in sports, even like if the Yankees, or like let's say the Dodgers are playing the let's say the Pirates, like they're like one of the best teams versus one of the worst teams, the Dodgers would never be a minus 3,000 favorite. They would the worst it would be is like minus 250 or minus 300 or something like that. That's the worst it would be. And so it's like, and then in UFC, you rarely see a fight that gets past like minus 800, minus 900. Like I know Bo Nickel was a huge favorite at UFC 300.
Most
And
recently, Payne Talbot.
And Alaskarov was going to be a massive favorite before he got switched to the Robert Whittaker fight.
Yeah.
So like it happens, but like as a main event that you're trying to sell the fight, you're trying to literally, you build a card around something and you're trying to sell this card, and the fight's on minus 3,000. It's like, I don't know. It's problematic.
Very, very. Yeah. For a main event fight, you will never see a main event fight like that, or even a main card fight in the UFC with those crazy odds. Like Alaskarov really is like the only good example of that. And that's just because nobody better wanted to fight him until he proven himself even further.
Right. No, exactly.
But yeah. So aside from who we think is going to win, because I think it's quite obvious that Shakur Stevenson should be in everyone's mind the winner, it kind of props up the question is when or if, let's say, I don't want to pull a knee on here, if Shakur Stevenson wins, what's next for him? Is he bound to go fight somebody bigger? Obviously, he's got at times Ryan Garcia, you got Tank, you have Lomachenko, at times Devin Haney as well. They're all in his weight class. You could fight any of them. Is it time for him to kind of step it up to somebody bigger? Do you think he's going to take like maybe another step up fight and then go to like kind of have like a big fight? What do you see for him, Jesse?
I just caught the neon joke, by the way. I didn't even realize that. I was like, what did you mean by neon? And I was like, oh, that's right. I think that the answer is kind of obvious here. I mean, Devin Haney made a big fuss about Ryan Garcia testing positive for Osterine and then got that fight removed from his record. So if I'm Shakur Stevenson, if I'm Devin Haney, even I'm like, hey, Shakur, Devin Haney let you step in the ring after Devin Haney beat Lomachenko, I believe. Shakur Stevenson got in the ring, and they were like they were supposed to face off, and that was supposed to be the next big fight. So like they need to run that fight at some point. Like that fight needs to happen. Devin Haney versus Shakur Stevenson. Devin Haney has a lot to prove after getting dropped 3 times by Ryan Garcia and then getting that fight the loss removed from his record. Like he literally is still undefeated. So it's like, all right, fine. You want to prove that it was just because Ryan was taking Osterine, then you got to go out and beat Shakur Stevenson, who you've also been beefing with for the past 2 years. So I think that fight absolutely needs to happen.
Yeah, it's funny. I think before the Ryan Garcia fight, if we were to talk about Devin Haney versus Shakur Stevenson, and we talked about who has more to win here, who has more to lose, it would have been Shakur Stevenson has more to win. Devin Haney potentially has more to lose, right? I think it's kind of flip-flop now. I think Devin Haney dropped a lot of points after that Garcia fight, and I think he needs a big fight to put him back into not back into the win column, but just back into the eyes of the fans as a top boxer. I think he dropped a lot of points. I think beating Shakur Stevenson, somebody that not a lot of people know of unless you're a boxing fan, would kind of get the respect of boxing fans again, and it would make for a big fight. So I agree with you. I think Devin Haney is the right choice for him.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, like Tank is a possibility too. I mean, I don't know if Shakur would want to fight Tank after what Tank just did to Frank Martin. Of course, he could fight Ryan Garcia, when Garcia's suspension is lifted 11 months from now. Like that's a possibility too. But I think like Haney's just the clear answer because they tried to make that fight before and it just never happened. And like to me, I think Haney is like, all right, man, you got what you wanted. The fight, you're still undefeated. But now you got to go out and beat somebody big to like really prove it. It's more so a Devin Haney thing than it is a Shakur Stevenson thing. If I'm
It
being
is.
honest.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
saying. I think it's Devin Haney has to prove himself here.
Yeah.
And yeah, obviously, like you mentioned, Tank would be like the ultimate fight that we want to see happen. But I do think that Shakur Stevenson's got to take one. In my eyes, Tank's the top right now, so he has to take one step against a big fighter to go to the top. Obviously, Garcia being 11 months away, probably not a great choice. But I think Lomachenko or Devin Haney could both be for a good matchup.
I like Loma too. I just think Loma has to fight soon. He's getting pretty old. He's like 38 now or something. So it's going to happen soon.
Yeah. But anyway.
By the way,
Diaz.
Sorry, there is one bet worth considering just for the bettors out there, because this is a betting show. Shakur Stevenson by decision is a plus 105. He is known as like pillow hands by some boxing fans. Not exactly a knockout artist all the time. So by decision is kind of worth considering. A minus 130 by KO or TKO. That's where you're making your money. You're not making your money anywhere else unless you're throwing the minus 3,000 into some sort of parlay, which we don't have for you. But just figured I'd put that out there.
Yeah. Oh, those are actually interesting odds. Just him to win is they don't even give you options for the other guy to win.
Right.
DraftKings. That's hilarious.
Oh no, they do. Plus 2,000 by KO, plus 3,500 by technical decision.
Oh, I see it now. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Plus
1,300 overall.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
no, those are some good bets if you want to get some better odds on Shakur here.
I would consider decision, if I'm being honest. I like decision.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that a fight like that would go to decision. Hey,
I know, but
like you have Payne Talbot, who came in as minus 1,600 favorite this past weekend and knocked the guy out in like give or take 30 seconds.
What I will say about that is like there are guys like Teofimo Lopez, whose past couple of fights he was a massive favorite, and then against guys that like weren't really big names, and he ended up kind of putting up. There was some question where it was almost like he was losing the fight at times, but he still got the decision from the judges. So I think that like there's always a chance with guys like this, and that happened in the last Shakur fight too, where it was like he apparently landed like something like 40 total punches over 12 rounds. Like just like they did not throw anything. It was super boring, and he still won the fight by decision. So like. It's totally possible. It's like a total defensive chess match type of fight where Shakur is just like landing and then just running the whole fight. So
brutal.
Just saying it's possible.
Hopefully it's more fun than that. I'll just say that.
But now we go to the real fight.
Yeah, let's go to the real fight. Well,
that's
10 years ago would be. But no, Diaz versus Masvidal. We've seen it in the octagon. We want to. Well, now we're going to see it in the ring. These don't tend to be the most exciting of fights either, if we're being honest. If we look at Nate Diaz versus Jake Paul, we got some good highlights out of it, out of just like Nate being Nate.
It was super entertaining. It was a very entertaining fight. It just wasn't like wasn't like an amazing barn burner of a fight sort of thing.
No. So anyway, interesting fight. I guess what are your thoughts? Who do you got for this one?
What are the odds? I think Masvidal's a favorite, right? Minus 275.
Masvidal's a favorite. Yeah.
Yeah, Masvidal's minus 275. Diaz is plus 210. I mean, they're both like some of the better boxers during their generation. They're both like two of the better boxers in MMA. I think Masvidal has an edge in boxing simply because he was a boxer before they got into MMA. And, obviously he's known for his backyard bare knuckle boxing days with Kimbo Slice. Go check those videos out. Like Masvidal behind a house, bare knuckle boxing and like a steel cage. Like it's pretty wild stuff. I think I don't know. I don't really see a knockout happening in this fight, like especially if Nate wins, because Nate's not like he's a volume puncher. He's not a power puncher. I think the power favors Masvidal. I think it's going to be close. I think I could see Masvidal edging out a decision if I'm being honest, but I don't know. Come back to me. Let me hear your take. I'm leaning Masvidal, but let me hear your take.
Yeah. I would love to see Nate win. I think if Nate cared to win, he probably would win. I just don't think he cares to win. I think what we're gonna see on Saturday night, or is it tomorrow night? No, it's Saturday night.
Saturday. Yeah.
Yeah, what we're gonna see on Saturday night is Nate go in there. I think the first couple of rounds are gonna be legit, and then I think Nate's just gonna start fucking around, which is what makes it entertaining, But I think he'll put him in a choke, he'll do whatever. Might go on the ground and just kind of put his feet up, BJJ, come here. But I just that's how I see the fight going. And then like if it goes like that, Nate's gonna come out the winner in our eyes, but in the judges' scorecards, he like Masvidal would come out the winner, right?
Nate's stock always rises, no matter what. His stock is always rising.
Yeah, he goes out and puts on a show, right? So yeah. Again, would love to see him win, but if he doesn't care to win, then he just won't, right?
I will say this. I mean, I do think he cares to win only because of the way the BMF fight ended with Masvidal, where it was a doctor stoppage because Nate had a cut over his eye and the doctor stopped it. It still felt inconclusive, even though Masvidal was winning the fight for sure, like leading up to that point. We never got like a clear, we never got a clear answer about it, right? Like who was the BMF? So I do think like that this is like kind of personal for Nate in some way. I think like Jake Paul was like a little bit more of like a cash grab fight, where this one might be a little more personal from him. And I think he feels like he wants to prove something, that he's a better boxer. So I think Nate wants to win. I do. I mean, do I think that like he's willing to compromise the win for like some fun fan moments and stuff? Sure. I think that like that'll happen, but I think Nate wants to win. I'm changing my pick. I'll take Nate by split decision. It's going to be controversial. That's what I'll go with. There's going to be
either way, it's going to decision though.
Something fishy with the judges.
Yeah, we'll take it. We'll take it. Yeah, I wish there was prop bets on this one. I don't think there are.
There's got to be like a prop bet on like how many times Nate like I don't know, like does this, like what something like that. He's gonna have a moment like that. Something's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Or how many times Nate just starts walking away. He starts walking away from the hospital. So we'll see.
How many submission attempts are we gonna get by Nate?
How many slaps? How many times will we slap him with the boxing glove? That's the one. Yeah. How many Stockton slaps?
Yeah, it's a good one. But yeah, like with that being said, Nate, he's maybe not one of the GOATs in like strictly fighting wise, but he's one of the GOATs of just fighters in general who have stepped into the octagon at one point. His record might not show it, but what he's done for the sport is like no other. So he's obviously had his fair share of moments. So I went ahead and I put into Chat GPT, what are Nate's, I went into the Chat GPT and I put in, what are Nate Diaz's top 5 most memorable moments of all time? Wow. And yeah, it spewed out an answer. So I wanted to do a little segment here. I just wanted you to try and guess what they are. I will say they're all fighting related. There isn't anything outside of the octagon that is talked about. There's one post-fight interview on here. There is one pre his kind of like, it's like part of the UFC, but like pre like his like full UFC days, if that makes sense. Once I tell you the answer, you'll know exactly what I mean. But yeah, anyways, I wanted you to guess. I wanted you to see if you could guess 5 of them. Okay.
So I am trying to guess what Chat GPT thinks of Nate Diaz's top 5 most memorable moments.
Correct. And they're all at the octagon, nothing outside of it. For example, like no like press conferences, no interviews, nothing like that. It's going to be on there. Yeah, but with that being said, I don't want you to confuse you. There's one post-fight interview.
I'm going to start with the octagon. I'm going to start with that. I'm not surprised, motherfuckers, is when he was asked after beating Conor McGregor, he says, "Hey, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers." That would be the post-fight. Is that not it?
No, that's not it. There's another one. It has to do with Conor as well, but you gotta kind of move back in time from that moment.
Okay. All right. Well, then the other one would be beating Conor McGregor. submitting him, beating him.
Yeah, so that's number one on the list.
The other one would be flipping off Conor McGregor in the octagon or slapping Conor McGregor. One of those two.
So it has to. So the number 3 on the list is just his rematch with Conor McGregor. It doesn't specify.
Oh, I gotcha.
Specific moments, but it does say he's like, although he's lost, it was an intense fight, whatnot, whatever. Okay. So that is on there. That's number 3. So you're missing 2, 4, and 5.
Memorable moments in the cage.
Yeah.
So one of them is not a Conor McGregor one. So then I'm gonna say
2 of them aren't with Conor McGregor.
Choking out Tony Ferguson with 2 minutes and 19 seconds on the clock.
Oh, that would have been a good one. No, I didn't include that.
Okay.
No, but all of them are a little bit older.
Okay, beating Cowboy Cerrone.
No,
Donald Cerrone.
No.
Wow, I guess Chat GPT just knows Nate better than I do.
Okay, I'll give you one. This one I don't think you'll get. Number 2 on the list is winning the Ultimate Fighter 5, which kind of kickstarted everything, right?
Got it.
So that's number 2 on the list. So I think that one is probably the hardest one to get.
Why don't you just read them off? Read off what Chat GPT said.
Sure, let's do it. Number 4 was his post-fight interview after beating Michael Johnson, which is where he called out Conor McGregor, where he goes, Conor McGregor, you're taking everything I work for, motherfucker. And that's the moment that they included on there.
I missed that one. That was a good one. That's a good Chat GPT. That's a good one.
Yeah, they know what they're talking about, eh? Yeah. UFC 241 win over Anthony Pettis after being away for 3.5 years.
I went with what's his name? Cowboy over Pettis. I was debating in my mind which one it would be. I went with Cowboy.
Yeah. So no, it's a decent list, but there's been so many moments outside of the octagon that I think we should talk about real quick. I'm going to say one of my favorites inside as well that wasn't on this list that 100% deserves to be on this list, and it's rocking Rocky Edwards. And then just pointing at him instead of finishing the fight where he definitely could have. It was just like classic Nate. I want to, like I said, for the Jorge fight, it's one of those moments he valued just being Nate versus winning, which I think is why we love Nate.
Yeah, I would have also put it. I love it because he also did it with a slap. He slapped him and then he punched him. That photo is like iconic. Basically, you would think by looking at that photo that he won the fight. You know what I mean? It's almost like he did win the fight because that photo exists. You know, one of them is when he choked out Jake Paul with a guillotine in the boxing ring. It's probably did not get on that list, but I do think that was one of the funniest Nate Diaz moments of all time. Honorable mention are some of Nate Diaz's like off the field interviews. Like I think he was on CNBC or something with Conor when they were promoting their first fight. And the woman that's interviewing them asks him how much money he has in the bank account. And he goes, man, I don't know. What the fuck is this? The Money Channel? It's one of my favorite moments. Yeah, so a lot of my picks would be Nate Diaz like off the field. That's the thing. So.
I agree. But yeah, I guess with that being said, Nate has had an incredible career. What do you think he does after Jorge?
I think Nate wants to go back to the UFC. I think that he feels like he still has more fights left in him. He's definitely older. I think he's like 38, 39. So he's definitely like in the twilight of his career. But I think he genuinely wants to go back to the UFC. I think he wants the Conor trilogy. I do think that's like a fight that he really does want. So I think they should run it, man. I think that him and Conor should, like, I think Nate should go back, sign like a 1 or 2 fight deal with the UFC and fight Conor if we complete the trilogy.
Nate versus Conor in the Sphere.
That'd be dope. I don't know if he'd be able to do it in time, but it'd still be dope. No. Yeah.
I guess it depends on how this fight goes, but hey, they could, in theory. I mean, it's only a few months away. You could put it.
My guess is Conor's going to fight Chandler, like UFC 306 or 307, whichever one it would be. And then they're going to re-sign Nate to like a 3-fight deal, and they're going to fight sometime like next year by like summer. That's what I think is going to happen. So.
Interesting. With Conor, you'll never know. We thought he was fighting last weekend, so
I believe he's going to. I believe he's going to fight. Hey, out of curiosity, can you read off the Chat GPT list again for me? I want to hear what all 5 of them were.
Yeah. So number 1 was UFC 196 victory over Conor McGregor. Number 2 was The Ultimate Fighter 5 finale winning. TUF 5. Number 3 was UFC 202, his rematch with Conor McGregor.
Okay.
Number 4, UFC on Fox 17, victory over Michael Johnson. And then in the description, it goes into his post-fight interview specifically, how that made it a memorable moment. And then number 5 was UFC 241, return and victory over Anthony Pettis after 3.5-year hiatus.
Got it. Okay. The Chat GPT, they're funny. They're like looking at it. Definitely not looking at it through like a human lens on Nate Diaz. Looking at it like a career lens. Whereas most people wouldn't pick that. Most people would pick like their favorite moment rather than like, oh, what are his like career defining fights sort of thing.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. When I first asked the question, it actually went victory over Conor, that just like creating the Stockton slap, top 5 victory, rematch with Conor, and then it just like went into impact outside the octagon.
I wonder what it would do for Nate Diaz's like off the field best moments. I wonder what it would say. I could ask you right now. Here, I'll do it right now. We'll do it live. What are Nate Diaz best moments outside of the octagon?
I wonder what it told you.
Post-fight interviews. His "I'm not surprised, motherfuckers" after defeating Conor McGregor. Charity work. Diaz has been involved in various charitable activities. Training in triathlons. Advocacy for cannabis. Business ventures. He launched a CBD company. Game Up Nutrition. Okay. Media appearances in pop culture. Yeah. And like his appearance on the Joe Rogan podcast gets mentioned, by the way. That's funny.
For me, when I just basically said, what about his 5 best off the field moments? It goes marijuana advocacy and launch of Game Up Nutrition.
Yeah.
Press conference brawl with Conor McGregor. Throwing a water bottle at Khabib Nurmagomedov. Vegan diet and lifestyle advocacy and involvement in the Stockton community. Very different.
I love that. Yeah, there you go. I love that. Very computer-driven answers, but it's like if Nate Diaz were to write a resume, that's what it would look like.
Yeah.
I can't imagine Nate Diaz has ever written a resume, but we'll put that together for him.
Yeah.
So, anyways.
Anyway.
All right.
Another episode of Insider Betting. Unfortunately, we don't got parlays. We don't got too many bets for you guys. But next week we'll be back. We will be live. Is that the Namajunas fight?
Yeah, Denver. Namajunas versus Cortez.
Nice. So that'll be an interesting one to chat about. So tune in next week, 3 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Eastern. We're gonna go live. Anyways, Jesse, appreciate you joining me today, brother. Till next week.